So, Dave, welcome to Hellbound with Halos, man. You touched base with me probably a few weeks back and wanted to get together and do an episode. And I had to talk to Shred and get some dates lined up and see what worked for you. But we
Uh-oh.
finally made it work here. So, well, you're doing well. You have some interesting theories. I'd like to know a little bit more about you and where you came from, why this all started, and what your initial theories are. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So, tell us a little bit about you.
I grew up here in Connecticut. I still live in Connecticut, born and raised in Connecticut. Um, Worked in corporate America. Um, Started my own company. Was doing extremely well, and I was always doing a little truth seeking at the time. It happened after that event in New York on September 1st or 11th, whatever. And that's when I started really looking into things. I started getting into the Federal Reserve. What is money? And my buddy and I, we would be talking about it in our lunchroom at the corporation I worked at, and more people gathered around. So he said, "Hey, we have an opportunity to do a podcast out of New York City." And I didn't even know what a podcast was at that time. And I was like, "Yeah, all right, cool." And we started doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, where we started looking into all of the deceptions. And it's not like I want everything to be a conspiracy. Unfortunately, there's so many conspiracies. If you bet like everything that you saw, that's a conspiracy, you'd probably you'd be in the positive column, in your score. Not everything's a conspiracy, but there's so many.
Yeah.
So in the third year, people started emailing me, "Hey, Dave, have you looked into flat Earth?" I thought that's the dumbest thing ever. Delete, wouldn't even watch a 1-minute video, ban people from our social media that asked repeatedly. And then I was forced to look, and I went in with the attitude, I'm going to disprove this nonsense. It's ridiculous. Everybody knows the Earth is flat. Boats over the horizon, seasons, sticks and shadows from Aristophanes, seasons, all of this stuff. And I was like, I started looking, and I was like, wow, everything got ticked off. And I'm like, there's nothing that supports the globe. There's no proof of the globe. And then I realized, holy crap, we're being lied to on a scale that is unimaginable for most. Most people are unable to wrap their minds around this one because it's everything they've been raised on. I mean, we were raised before we can talk about the globe. We had, kids programming, kindergarten, everything. It's all about the globe and the helio-nonsensical system, I call it. And it's hard to take someone's core belief and show them new information. A lot of people are just unable to handle it. But we're in a time of awakening now that's happened. I think I draw the line at 2012. And people are waking up faster and faster. That's why I love talking to guys like you. Before the show, you said, I absolutely think it's a globe, right?
Yeah.
So we are at opposite ends. There is no farther apart that we could be, but we're going to come together somewhere and we're going to see what happens.
Sure. Yeah. And that's why we have Shred here. And this will be labeled as a True Series episode. I think, and I said this obviously before recording as well, that Shred and yourself will agree on some things that we get into today. I don't know so much about the flat Earth thing. I do agree with you, Dave, however, that I don't like the word conspiracy anymore. And I'll tell you why, because
It's
been a lot, right? It's been hijacked. That's exactly it. It's been made into this thing that if somebody says something that you don't believe, it's a conspiracy, and it's immediately downplayed. And there's been so many stories and theories throughout time now that have been proven right. And you can't call it a conspiracy anymore if it's the truth.
The funny thing is, one of the first things I was into was the spraying of our skies, the thing what people call chemtrails. And I was called every name in the book, conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. But now you look, the patents are out, they admit it, they're doing it. And people they forget. They're just like, well, whatever, people, it was a conspiracy. Now it's a fact, and it's worse than people even can imagine. So
it was actually in not too long ago, and I thought of Shred when this came on. It was in the mainstream news about cloud seeding. Just recently, and I say recently, within like this last 6 to 8 months. And I'm like, holy shit, see, it is real. And I believe Shred the whole time. It's
been going on for a long time. Even, Bill Gates said he wants to spray the sky with chalk. Well, it's not chalk they're spreading up there. It's way worse than that. But everything that you're hearing about the spraying of our skies is a lie, because it's actually completely. There's way more to it than that. So,
all right. So I got a question for you to kick things off here, and I'm sure Shred will chime in whenever he feels necessary. I've been flying. I flew from Hawaii to San Francisco, and during that flight, it was not twilight. It was dawn. It was dawn. So when we were coming over the round ball in the sky, I saw curvature.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've never been to space. I haven't had the opportunity to look down and see whether this is flat or whether it's round. All I can go by is a picture that NASA gives us.
Right.
What's your explanation of that?
Yeah. So that's a lot to unwrap right there. Let's get into it.
It is.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I call the high priest of scientism, he says that you can't even see the curve of the Earth from 127,000 feet. You're too low. Okay. I don't think you were flying at 127,000 feet. Here's a shot from a balloon without a distorted lens at 120,000 feet. And it's obviously clearly flat. When this is an actual photo, and then this is this is what Zoom won't let me delete. This is a actual painting. So when you're looking through a window, it has curved edges. That's one thing that will make the edges dip down a little bit and make you think you're seeing a curve. But that's not the real reason that you think you're seeing a curve. The real reason is it's the way our eyes work. And the way our eyes work is we see in the same direction, in every direction, the same distance. Perspective brings the sky and the ground together to it's so small that you can't just see the difference. So that's called the limit of your vision. If you zoom in with a camera, you can open that up and see farther. Okay. So when you're looking forward, 12 o'clock, you see this distance, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you see the same distance. Lay that down. This is how we see. This is the limit of our vision because we can only see the same distance in all directions. Draw a line across it and you'll see a curve and everyone will say, oh, that's the curve of a globe. No, that's just the limit of your vision. You're seeing a flat circle. If the limit of your vision was the length of a string going from your eyes, you walk that string around, it draws a beautiful circle, and then your brain, your programming tells you that's a globe.
Okay. Got anything to add to that?
Well, I'm still just taking it
You're
all
taking
in.
it in.
Good. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that. Let's go to the flight though from Hawaii,
yes,
which is very interesting. So NASA, when we're going to totally destroy NASA at some point during this, they are in charge of all GPS. They're in charge of all radar. They are in charge of all flight plans. But occasionally something happens and there's an emergency and the plane has to land, right? And they find the closest airport. So here's a flight from Taiwan to Los Angeles, similar to your flight from Hawaii to Los Angeles. Okay. Yep. So this one's going Hawaii to Los Angeles. Actually, this is pretty accurate. But from Taiwan to Los Angeles, we're going right by Hawaii. The emergency happened right here, but the plane didn't land in Hawaii. It didn't land in LA. It went all the way up to Alaska. Okay. That makes absolutely no sense, except if you plot that plane route on a flat Earth map, Taiwan, emergency, Alaska. LA.
Okay.
Straight line. Now there's over 16 emergency landings that have been documented and beautifully documented in this book, 16 emergency landings proving flat Earth. And none of them make any sense on a globe. They all go thousands of miles out of their way to land. But on a flat Earth, it's a perfectly straight line from where they were. So I don't know how many coincidences you need to realize there's something wrong with the globe.
That's interesting to me. So if it's a flat circle, and I've heard you mention this and talk a little bit about it in some other podcasts, what happens at the end? Does
good question.
Fall off? Yeah.
So if you Google flat Earth images, flat Earth, you get images from it's called the Flat Earth Society, and the Flat Earth Society is not what any flat earther thinks. It's a government-run disinformation site. If you Google images of flat Earth, this is what you get. Nobody believes that we're a disk floating in space. You know, nobody believes that we're a disk planet with other planets or even other flat planets. Take space out of the equation. The Earth is the basement of the universe, the Earth plane. And we live in this pond. It's just one big pond. All of the islands, the continents, are surrounded by water, but all of the water, its container, because large bodies of water need a container. Try to take a bath without a bathtub. Try to swim in a pond without it being contained with land that is higher than the water. That land is known as Antarctica. Antarctica is likely bigger than all of the continents and all of the oceans combined. Okay? So we live in the Antarctic basin. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Look it up. Okay? So that's where the water is contained. Large bodies of water at rest do not curve. They lay flat. This is provable because a Navy ship can target another ship over 100 miles away with a pencil-thin laser beam 100 miles away. Add the Earth curve calculator into there, and there should be over a mile-high hump of water in between them. Same thing with a submarine on the bottom. You can see another submarine with sonar. Sonar goes in a straight line, hits something, and bounces back. You can see another submarine over 100 miles away. There should be a mountain over 6,000 feet tall in between them.
Okay.
There's not. No curvature, no globe.
So how,
Wait, let me finish your question.
Yeah,
what's out there? What's out there? This pink line represents 60 degrees south. At this distance, you can't even see Antarctica. It's just an approximate position. Yep. And nobody is allowed to go beyond that. No independent exploration. You can go on a vacation, cost you $10, $20, $30, $40,000 for a couple days. They'll take you here. They'll show you some penguins. They'll show you some icebergs. They'll show you the ceremonial South Pole out here, but you can't verify where you are because GPS doesn't work and neither does a compass. And then you're out. No one is allowed to explore out there. So my question is, what's out there, right? Well, a lot of people theory, Admiral Byrd in 1959, went out and he discovered that there's more land bigger than the United States filled with resources that no human has ever set eyes upon. But somehow 1959, when all the countries are fighting over resources, all of them signed a treaty that said nobody can explore Antarctica. You can't even question the treaty until 1941. It's the only treaty that's lasted this long, and you can't even question it. Okay. Why is that? And their answer was because we don't want to disturb the penguins. What? Right? But go ahead. Deforest the Amazon, no problem. No problem. But you can't even fly an airplane over Antarctica, right? That's insanity. That's insanity. So what's out there? Well, anything beyond 60 degrees south, we can only speculate, but I'll give you a good one. What if the Earth was set up like this? Here's our pond. Okay. Here's Antarctica. And then out here is more land. What's another word for more? Extra. What's another word for land? Territory. What would you call people that came from the extra territory? Extraterrestrials. And if this was the inner space, what would you call this?
Earth.
Outer space.
Extraterrestrials
come from the outer space beyond Antarctica. All of the largest telescopes in the world, which are owned by the Vatican, are all in the southern countries. They're down in Santiago and South Africa, and they're not looking up. They're looking out. They're looking out south. South is every direction away from the center.
Okay. So off that, and looking at this map that you're showing, and for those that are just listening, go over to our YouTube channel or even Dave's YouTube channel, which is what again, Dave, real quick?
My YouTube channel is DITRH. It's the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. But all of this will be found on the Flat Earth Podcast Facebook page and a couple other places, which we'll talk about later.
Okay, so scoot over there, check Dave's stuff out, but you'll be able to see this map. I'm seeing like Gemini. You had a Gemini thing up there, which I would guess would be the constellation or the mixture of stars or whatever we're seeing. Yes. I see you have Sagittarium. I see land masses in this map
Right.
that don't look like what I'm seeing in the sky.
Well, these aren't in the sky. These are
Or
on the Earth plane. Here's a map, which was a Japanese map discovered. It was printed in the New York Journal, now the New York Times, in the late 1800s, I believe. And it shows like 30 or some odd more continents outside of Antarctica. All of this is on the Earth plane. There is nothing in space because space doesn't exist. We believe that space is water, that there's water above us, and that we are inside of this bubble, inside a dome, if you will. Right? And everything that we see in the sky is within the Earth system, and it's rotating above the Earth.
Interesting.
It is super interesting.
But
And here's the thing.
Hold on. So you just said the first thing you can't prove this now.
Go ahead.
And I can disprove this.
Go ahead.
Because what happens over time now is star alignment will change.
You know what I say to that? I say,
go ahead.
Cool story, bro.
Not a cool story. I mean, we can absolutely prove this. This is absolutely proven. And we can prove this with artifacts that are here on Earth.
What are you talking about? Polar reversals or
no. So I'm talking about we can delve into some awesome archaeological finds that have happened on this Earth. And so in Mesopotamia times, okay, they would take certain objects and line them up to celestial objects. Okay, and these would happen on their solstice. That's one of the most common ones. Okay, so what we would do is we would dig this hole or make this little impression on Earth, and it would line up with the exact point that the sun's going to be on June 21st of whatever year,
right,
BC. Okay, so now we can calculate over time how long ago that thing was put there, because what happens is our star front changes over time.
Well, that I'm going to have to disagree with that. And
you can disagree, but I can prove it. That's the problem.
Well, here's the thing. You know, the pyramids line up with Orion's belt. They still do to this day. Are you guys familiar with the Georgia Guidestones?
Yes.
Okay. So besides having the New World Order marching orders on there, it's a clock and a calendar. One of the features on here is this little tiny hole that's like a quarter of an inch thick. And if you look through it, Polaris is there and it never moves. You do a time lapse, you can see all the stars going around. It's been up for over 40 years. Okay. We're hurling and twirling and swirling trillions and trillions of miles, moving in 4 different directions at once, but somehow Polaris has never moved from that hole. So you're saying that the people that built it knowing that it's going to be useless in, you know, it would be useless in 5 minutes if all of this was true.
I'm not saying that. No, not at all. So now I will tell you that your little Polaris anomaly is an anomaly. That's an oddity.
Well,
however, it doesn't change the fact that people thousands of years ago lined up a celestial object with basically a crosshair, and that crosshair is now moved. So either they all were put in the wrong position by the same degree, or things have moved by that degree. Again,
so you're under the belief that our North Star used to be Thuban, and in 40,000 years it's going to be something else, right?
I am not under any belief. I am telling you what we know.
Well, so you say we know. We're going to have to come to agree to disagree. But they say that you know, that we're moving, and right now we happen to have this North Star, but you know, over the course of 30 or 40 years, it should move a half a degree, and it hasn't moved at all in all of history.
That's not even close. You
well,
no, hold on, Dave. Hold on. We are talking celestial time frames here. Okay. All right. Now we can make this into a way deeper discussion. Okay, where actually, if we got deep into Einstein, he would actually sit here and agree with us that all time is happening at the same time. Okay, there is no such thing as a linear time frame, which we are discussing here first and foremost. So let's talk about that. But our perception of time here on this Earth, while we are in this Earth plane, okay, we see it as being linear, and it changes linearly over certain times. That might just be a difference in between dimensions. I don't even know what it would be, or maybe it's one string connected to the next as far as string theory is. I'm not sure what that is, but these changes happen slowly over thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. not 40 years.
All right. So let me, I understand what you're saying. And I learned all of that stuff. I took astronomy for 4 years in college. I know all about it. It's all theoretical physics. So here's a question I have for you. And then maybe we move on to the next thing so we just don't get stuck. This is the model that you believe, that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. It's orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. It's chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. And the entire system's moving sideways at something like 1.3 million miles per hour. Okay. It's traveling trillions and trillions of miles over the years. How is Polaris staying lined up with that hole?
Yeah, that's
you're above me.
Yeah, there's your
well. There's two options. One, some crazy pseudoscience, or two, we're not moving and everything's spinning above us around Polaris. That's my explanation. I'd like to hear another one that's plausible. I'm up for it. Right.
Yeah.
So with all that going on, what was my other point? What other questions you had? I'm sorry. We can move on.
No. So I mean, and this is why I wanted you two to get together and talk, because you're both obviously way smarter than me. I'm just dumbass that hosts a podcast. So a lot of this stuff I couldn't necessarily prove wrong or right, whether it comes from Shred or you, Dave.
Yeah.
What it comes down to is, and Shred actually hinted on it real quick, that he doesn't necessarily have, he's pretty positive it's a globe based off his observations. You're pretty positive it's flat based off your, knowledge and education and observations. And, I think when it comes down to people like, I guess you could say someone that believes in flat earth and someone that doesn't, it's pretty strong theory either way you go.
Let me add on. I believe it's a flat earth.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not a spinning globe in space. And as we go, you're going to have to add up the evidence that I'm going to lay down today, and then you'll see. Let me show you. I'm going to share my screen here for a second.
Okay.
Can you guys see this?
Yep.
So the sky, you got to think of the sky as a perfect clock. The sun, follow this along. It's going to take me about 90 seconds to do this.
Yeah, do what you got to do.
The sun circles around once every 24 hours. So the sun is the hour hand. The moon is going a little slower than the sun. And if I speed it up, you'll see that the sun will catch up to the moon. The sun laps the moon once every 28 days. So our calendar used to be 13 months of 28 days, but now it's 12 months of random days. So the moon, its phase, its position keeps track of the weeks and the months. The sun keeps track of the hours and the days. So right now, here's a waxing crescent, and we're gaining distance on it. And this shows you where the sun and the moon are. So now I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to turn on the stars. The stars are spinning on their own wheel. These are the fixed constellations that never change. They're always the same patterns. If we lived in this crazy beehive universe where everything's moving in different directions, in this galaxy, they would change over time, but they've always been the same. So right now, the stars are moving. The stars are moving just slightly faster than the sun, where they lap the sun only once a year. So right now, the sun is in this constellation. In a month from now, it'll be hanging out in this constellation. A month later, it'll be here in Cancer. And then let me show you how that works. And so here we are. It's May. If I jump forward, if you see where the sun is, the sun is in between. The red line is the equator. The inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer, and the outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. Right now, it's inside of the equator heading to Cancer. So if I jump forward to June or July, you can see that the sun is over Cancer. That's when we have our summer. Look, it's going right over Miami. It's super hot in Miami. And America has the sun closer to it, higher in the sky, because it's closer. 6 months later, it jumps out. It moves out to the Tropic of Capricorn. We have our winter because the sun is farther away when it comes by. And Australia and the southern countries have their summer because the sun is higher in the sky over their heads, right? That's how seasons work. Because this whole tilted thing, I can prove, if you want to get into it, that is nonsense. The whole tilting of the earth that causes the seasons. It's complete and total nonsense. So right now it's over Capricorn. Watch, I'll bring it back to the Tropic of Cancer. And if I turn on the stars, you'll see that, hold on. If I, where am I? It's August. I went too far. Hold on. I can, November, December. So in December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So in July, where you see it is, I turn on the tropics, and here it is. It's right in the Tropic of Cancer, because it'll only be over this line when it's in the Tropic of Cancer. When I move it out to the 6 months later, it'll go to the Tropic of Capricorn. Boom, it's in Capricorn because it's over the Tropic of Capricorn. That's how the zodiac works. That's how seasons work. And think about this. If you think about the heliocentric model, this is insane. So here we are. Here we have our globe. We have our United States is right here. Here's the sun. And when we're tilted towards the sun, that's when we have our direct sun rays and we have our summer. You with me?
Correct. Yep.
And then when we're tilted away, the sun rays are skimming over and they're spread out. They're not as intense. That's when we have our winter. Did you know that during our summer, we're 3.5 million miles farther away from the sun? And during our winter, we're 3.5 million miles closer to the sun.
Okay. I did not know that.
Okay. They don't teach you that because it's insanity, right? And they say it just has to do with the tilt of the earth. Well, you got to remember, tilt works this way, tilt works this way. So when the earth is rotating, it's coming and the sun is rising. So America's right up here right now. So at sunrise, the sun is as low in the sky as it could possibly get. The most severe tilt, 89-degree tilt. Okay. It should be freezing at sunrise during the summer, because not only is it the most severe tilt, it's 3.5 million miles farther away. 3.5 million miles farther away. But you can go down. Where are you guys located?
Rochester, New York.
Okay. So in the summer, go watch the sunrise. And as soon as you see that sunrise in June, July, you can feel the heat on your face. Like, oh, there's the sun. I can feel it. Right. And that's at the most severe tilt. Then wait in December, on December 21st, go out on the sunny day when the sun is at its high point for the day, a much more direct angle. Look up at the sun. You can't even feel the heat on your face. That tells you, that proves to any thinking mind that this entire tilt theory is pseudoscience nonsense.
So what you're saying, and I'm going back to the clock here a little bit, or the clock example, is that the sun moves in and out.
The sun oscillates every month. It's 6 months. I'm moving it here. If you look on the top, you'll see the date. It oscillates 6 months out, 6 months in. And that's how the seasons happen. And it makes perfect and total sense. Imagine two airplanes 10,000 feet in the sky paralleling each other. One of them's over your head. One of them's 50 miles to the south. The one over your head is your summer sun. And the 150 miles to the south is farther away. It's lower in the sky. That's your winter sun. It's the same thing. It's just where it is. It's oscillating in and out. And that's how it oscillates in and out. That's why we have this melted puddle here, because and then when you say the tropics are warm, because the sun is always in between the tropics. It's always oscillating in between the tropics.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, I got to interrupt you here for a couple seconds. You say it makes sense. It only makes sense if you can tell us what the sun is. What is the sun?
Yeah. What is it?
I don't agree with that question. We don't know what the sun is, but it's apparently not a physical object because you can't triangulate its position. If you look at the sun I can absolutely triangulate the position. No, you can't.
I can. Okay, so this will be my challenge to you. What you can't do with your model is predict an eclipse. You cannot predict an eclipse in this model.
Actually, you're 100% wrong.
Dave, we said we're not going to interrupt each other. Sorry. I can predict an eclipse because of triangulation, 100%. I can do simple mathematics that everyone listening to this podcast has had some education on. I can absolutely prove that and predict within a day or two using simple math an eclipse, which you can't do with this model.
So, well, Sorry to say, you're incorrect because we can.
That's what I want to see.
So every
hold on 1 second. Let's get back to another thing real quick. Like you said, we're going to keep bumping things here. So I wrote some things down while you were talking there. So before we get into the sun and the eclipse thing, because that's going to be a big topic, I need an explanation as to why the constellations are different in the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere.
Absolutely, 100%. So imagine we're in this big empty room, just in a room, 10-foot high ceilings. There's nothing in the room. And there's recessed lights in the ceiling. And they're in all different patterns. We'll call those the stars. And we both are standing there. We look up. We see the same stars. Okay. Now expand that room to 20 miles wide. I'm going to send you 15 miles out towards the edge of the room. So you're heading south. Well, at just 5 miles, I won't be able to see you because the floor and the ceiling will merge. And I say 5 miles because that's way farther than enough to merge a 10-foot ceiling. And because I've been in Vegas, there's hotels long enough where the ceiling and the floor merge at the end of the hallway. So you're 10 miles away. I call you on your cell phone. I say, look up. And guess what? You're seeing stars that I can't see. I'm seeing stars closer to the inside. You're seeing stars closer to the outside. All of the stars are rotating above us in a field, and they're not that high. And we can't see them due to perspective.
Okay. So it's perspective is what he's saying.
It's due to location. I mean, I can't see the lights that you're looking at above your head. You can't see the lights that I'm looking at above my head.
Right. That's interesting. So one question I have is shadow theory then. What's their theory behind shadows and how shadows are cast? I mean, you're talking, I'm a little bit smart to know enough that I don't even know the guy's name. There was an ancient philosopher or
Aristophanes.
Physicist. That's who he was. He ran the stick or the string from X point to Y point, and the sun cast a different shadow from that string.
Let me correct the story for you.
Yeah, you're
good. The story was in Said, he noticed on a certain day of the year, he could see the sun's reflection in the bottom of a well. That proved to him that the sun was directly over his head. And yes, he is correct. So he thought of an experiment where he sent his buddy 500 miles away to put a vertical stick up. And at the same time, he had a vertical stick, and it would show that his stick had no shadow, right? His stick had no shadow right here, okay? And his buddy had a shadow and an angle. And so he can measure that angle. He could do some perfectly good math and figure out the sphericity of this ball. Carl Sagan in the show Cosmos convinced everyone that watched that this can only happen on a ball Earth. Well, his math was 100% accurate. He got the assumed size of the Earth by 2%. Most famous mathematician ever. And he was never mentioned in a single book until the mid-1980s when he showed up in Rockefeller textbooks. Suspicious there. But the problem was, first, how did he communicate with his buddy 500 miles away? Did they have like a string and a cup? Hello? All right, what's your measurement? Right? So besides that, let's just assume they had, cell phones back then. On a flat Earth with a small local sun, no shadow here, angle, you could do the same math and figure out the sphericity of this flat plane. You get the same thing that he got, but you're assuming different things. Aristophanes assumed, because the sun is 93 million miles away, that all of the sun rays come in parallel, but you and nobody else has ever seen parallel sun rays. Nobody has ever seen parallel sun rays because they don't come in parallel. They come in spread out like that. They're called crepuscular rays, right? No one has ever seen. So why did he assume they're coming in parallel? They're not. And his experiment proves nothing because it works on a flat Earth and a ball Earth. Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson came up with a response video to this. He had to step up because we're getting them to make videos all the time where what we call it, they move the globe post. They just move it every time we crush it. And they're like, yes, it would work on a flat Earth, but it doesn't work with a third stick or a third well. Well, it does. He just says it doesn't, but if you do it on a flat Earth, it works with a third well and a fourth well and a fifth well. So here's the problem when you say that you can triangulate the sun, you can, but you're assuming its distance wrong. Try adding a third person or a fourth person to that triangulation, and the numbers get farther and farther off. It's because the sun that we see I look at it like a reflection, right? So imagine the three of us were standing outside 50 yards apart, and we're looking at a giant mirror. And behind us, the sun is setting. So we're all looking at the sun in the mirror. So we get a fourth person to go up to the mirror with a Sharpie, and I say, all right, draw a circle right there. That's where I see the sun. So I see the sun there. 50 yards away, you're going to have your circle, and another 50 yards is going to be another circle. So we try to triangulate that sun that we're looking at. We're looking at different suns in different positions, right? The whole idea that the sun is 93 million miles away, science keeps changing the distance. And after this last eclipse, some amateur astronomers said, based on what they saw, they think the sun is bigger, right? And there was a whole bunch of articles on the internet about it where these astronomers were talking, and they all disappeared. Because if you change the size of the sun, you have to change the distance of the sun, you have to change the size of all the other planets. It just spirals out of control, and all of their lives fall apart, right? So the whole thing about, the way they figured out the distance of the sun is over an assumption. That's like saying, the way they figured out the distance of the sun was one day Venus transited the sun, and we could see it. Amateurs can see it. And they had someone on the East Coast, someone on the West Coast, and they measured it when it started and ended for each of them. And they did perfectly good math like Aristophanes supposedly did. And they calculated the distance of the sun because Venus is almost the same size as Earth. That's how they figured it out. Well, how did they figure out the size of Venus? Venus could be the size of a beach ball, okay? We don't know what Venus is. And also, when it transited the sun, it was a little transparent. I don't know if you guys saw that. When you're looking at it with a solar filter, you can see through Venus.
So that was out a couple of weeks ago, right? That hit the news or whatever.
What was that?
The X-ray of Venus. I think
I didn't see that, but our consumer optics have outgrown their lives. So when we look up at the star Arcturus, this is what it looks like. It doesn't look like the nonsense that NASA shows us. And if we look at the star Capella, this is what it looks like, right? Sirius, this is what it looks like. So what are these things that we're seeing? They kind of look like they're underwater to me. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the experiment Star in a Jar. If you just Google that, where they put sound waves focused into a jar of water, and these little suns appear in the water. The little sparks of light will be in the jar that look exactly like a sun.
Interesting. I want to try that.
Oh,
It is super interesting, man.
Well, so there's a lot to take in here.
Oh,
so
dude, this is so deep, but there's nothing that I'm going to be able to tell you or say to you, because you're just going to think that everything that we've learned is bogus. Because
that's a good point, and let me address that.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're gonna throw things to me like quoting, like I can't quote somebody that's dead, because if there's no, like, you're quoting Einstein, you're quoting Copernicus or whatever. Copernicus supposedly didn't even have a telescope. It's our history is a lie. Did you know that in the 1920s, ready? They were teaching flat earth in public schools in America. We're told in our books that the Greeks figured it out 2,000 years ago. In the 1920s, I was interviewing this woman in February of 2020. Her name is Ruth Heath, and we're talking about the World's Fairs, never mentioned flat earth to her. Her memory was so good. I said to her, what did they teach you in elementary school in science about the earth? And she looked at me, she said, they taught me the earth was flat, but then they changed it some years later, right? Then we started looking, and we're like, okay, we found another woman from Croatia who said in the 1930s, all of the schools taught flat earth in Croatia. Then we found on microfilm, again from the New York Journal, I believe, articles about teachers that were being persecuted for trying to teach heliocentrism in the classroom. And it was heresy. Okay. All of this was changed. Then they had the world wars, the depression. They make it to the point where nobody cares about the shape of the earth, who they are, where they are, what they are. They just need their next meal. They need to survive. That's what they're trying to get us to right now. That's what's going on right now, because the world is waking up. And if the world wakes up to this lie, the elite lose all their power, because all of their power is only in your imagination. They have no power over us. All right. It's just in your imagination. Imagine if everyone in the world just said, screw this. We're going to work. We're doing our things. We're using cryptocurrency and we're ignoring everything that you say. There's nothing they could do. They're not even a flea on our backs other than the belief in our head, right? It's just like money. Money is a belief. A dollar bill, the only thing it's good for besides snorting cocaine, that's not a good thing, is lighting a fire. Okay. Right. I'm just saying there's no value to the dollar. There's nothing to it other than a belief system. Right. It's just belief. They want us believing that we are insignificant pond scum that evolved into a monkey that farted and turned into a human, that we're flying through space on an infinite speck with other trillions of specks in a space vacuum. Okay. A space vacuum. Think about this. Nature abhors a vacuum. Once upon a time, nothing exploded, became everything. That's a little crazy, but I'll give it to you. Okay. Then all of the rocky bits turned into spinning balls, and all of the gases turned into bigger balls and lit on fire. And they left a fucking vacuum in between them. How do you have a gas ball in a vacuum?
Right. Well, because that's the first problem. Space is not, I repeat, space is not a vacuum. That's something that's a misnomer.
What is it?
Not a vacuum.
Is there air in space? Is there gas in space?
So you got, okay, so vacuum is negative air. So what you're saying is, by saying that space is a vacuum, it's completely untrue. That would mean that there's a negative pressure between zero and what the pressure of the of space is. Space is just zero pressure. It's not a vacuum.
It's not negative.
It's not
just
well, how come
pressure.
NASA says if they get a hole in their ship, they would all die instantly?
Because there is no atmosphere. There is no atmosphere.
All of the air would get sucked out of the spaceship. They'd all die.
We don't have to leave the Earth to make that happen. I can make that happen right here on Earth. Okay. So if I remove all the atmospheric pressure from around you, your innards will start to boil. You will start to have, the first thing you're going to start to look at anybody who climbs Everest. They only have to go up 20,000 feet to start this process. It doesn't have anything to do with a vacuum. It has to do with your body is attuned to 14 pounds per square inch, pushing on it in 90-degree directions. So at parallel angles all over, everywhere at the same time. All right. So when the body comes out of that pressure, okay, it's just like diving.
So how? Okay, so let's not use the word vacuum. How do you have a gas ball in a no pressure environment?
How does our atmosphere work? Is what you're asking?
No. How do you have a sun, which is a ball of gas, in a no pressure environment?
First off, the sun is not a ball of gas.
What is it?
The sun is liquid. The sun has a solid core to it.
How do you have water in a no pressure system where just a moment ago you said it would boil?
It will boil. At zero, it will boil.
So is the sun boiling?
The sun is beyond boiling. The sun is the temperatures of the sun are well beyond boiling.
This is where we're getting into pseudoscience. Okay, this is just your belief system. You have no way to prove this. You have no way to prove this.
I think I found somebody that's crazier than me.
How do you prove?
This is amazing.
So how do you prove it?
So what do you want me to prove here? What are you looking to prove?
The temperature of the sun, I think, right?
Yeah. Dave? How do you know that the sun is even hot? How come it's cold at the top of Everest and boiling in lowest places in the Earth, like Death Valley, at the same time?
Atmosphere. It's the same reason why you were talking about before, where how come we're not hot when we're here and cold when we're here? If I go into space right now, I can be on one side of the spaceship and be at 200 and something degrees Fahrenheit. Go on the other side of the spaceship and minus 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
You know anything about solar panels?
Listen, I know. Hold on a second. Because you're only looking at one transfer of heat. One transfer of heat. So you're talking, the sun heats us through warmth because of radiation. Okay. You're seeing you're feeling indivisible rays of heat that have a frequency and contact you, and then they're excited to whatever they touch, and then that warms you up. However, there's also conduction and convection, and convection is what keeps the Earth warm, as opposed to going into space where you can literally be 6 feet apart and have a difference in temperature of 500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Do you think that solar panels could operate in temperatures that vary 500 degrees every 90 minutes?
Hold on a second. What you're about to explain doesn't even make sense, because What I am telling you is that this on the side of the sun is where you have the heat. On the side of no sun is where it's freezing cold. You would never put solar panels in a shadow.
Well, the solar panels are in the shadow. The space station goes around the Earth every 90 minutes. So there's times where it's blocked by the Earth and times where it's not blocked by the Earth. So it's heating up to 300, 400 degrees, whatever it is, and then it's going to negative 200, 300, 400 degrees. So it's swinging back and forth, but somehow they don't break down. I used to be in the solar power industry, and let me tell you something. Just in the Northeast alone, the swing in temperature, it does havoc on panels.
Well, we're well aware of that. And we just saw that happen in Texas.
And do you know that the way solar panels work, they don't know how they work? Scientists do not know how solar panels generate electricity. They have a theory that a photon hits a boron molecule, the boron molecule pops out, an electron fills in, and then it creates this current. And the reason they don't know is because they think the sun is a burning ball 93 million miles away, when in fact, it's more like a Tesla coil here within the Earth system. The Earth is like a giant battery, like a free energy system. The sun is the cathode, the moon is the anode, the salt water carries the current, and the land is the salt bridge of the battery. So we have all of this free energy circling around us. Testable, measurable, scientifically provable, the Earth has a negative charge to it. It doesn't move. Then you come off the Earth, a meter in the air, there's 100 volts of electricity, 200 volts at 2 meters, and it goes up from there, right? This is not theory. This is stuff that's been proven. Tesla, powered the World's Fairs with, free energy being pulled out of the ether. They don't want you to know this. And the way solar panels work is they capture the electricity and they run it into currents. That's all it does. It's so simple, but scientists can't see it because they think that they believe in this helio-nonsensical system. Take a plant, put one in front of a fireplace, and put one in front of an electric light. Which one's going to grow? Which one's going to shrivel up and die?
Yeah, I'd love to add more to this because I'm interested. I love hearing what Shred has to say. I love hearing what you have to say, Dave.
The problem with this, Dave, is that you have to forget everything. So what you're saying is there is no such thing as science. Okay.
Shred, no. There's science. We're on a computer here. I don't even know where you guys are. We're like in the same room. That's science. There's tons of science.
I don't know that that's science, but
let me go back. You need
here, just answer me this question, because now we're just going to go into the deep balls. We're going to go balls. So, all right. But again, all you're going to come back with is, we can't prove that. All right, let me tell you what.
Well, that's why I said before I knew coming into today that you two weren't going to agree. I knew it.
That's okay. Listen, we're having a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's fine. But I'm totally open to it.
Right.
I mean,
you are.
You've questioned me on a lot, or you've opened my mind to a lot of questions that I want you to answer. But let's get to this. This is what I want to know. All right. So we're just going to sit around and drink beers right now, and or maybe bourbon. I don't give a shit. Maybe Toke. Whatever you do. Okay. Right. So we're just sitting here. We're having a good conversation, looking up at the stars, and we get into a conversation that basically says, all right, so if I look at anything, so I'm touching a desk right here, touching the microphone. If I look at anything, if I delve down into this, as far as I can delve down into it, if I get down to the atomic level, at the atomic level, what I'm going to see is an electron, or excuse me, a nucleus with electrons spinning around it. And that electron is a reaction of proton and neutron, which we call the nucleus, and then the electrons spin around, and that gives it its character. Mm-hmm. If I blow that up to the next size, I can keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So basically, we know that, or we don't know, I guess this is just in the theory. It's an atomic theory that everything is built on this atomic structure of electrons revolving around a nucleus. If we blow that up on the grandest scale that we know, we get our solar system. Mm-hmm. When I was in school in the 1990s, all right, there was no other planet system. But I theorized at that point that, hey, if our sun has planets around it, all these other stars have to have planets.
So in their electron theory, you got the nucleus and you got electrons spinning around in all these different directions. Why do all of the planets stay on the exact same plane around the sun? They're all over the plane. So are they all chasing the sun on its circular orbit, staying on the same plane rather than going around in all these different directions?
Hold on, they do
always keeping up.
Hold on. No, they do go around.
No, they go around the sun, but they're all on the same plane.
No, they're not. Not even close. I'll prove that to you in your 40 years, because we can prove that in 40 days. That no, if I watch the planet Saturn, it will not be in the same spot.
No, it's not in the same spot. It's on the same. They all are on the ecliptic, they call it. Okay, they're all following the same path. They're all on the same plane. Okay, they're not going around in 3 dimensions. They're all going around flat. Okay, so they used to be called wandering stars, but again, you know, these are things in the sky that we can't prove. Like, for example, the moon looks like spherical, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to show you 4 moons. I'm going to show you 4 moons.
I got my daughter. Hold on a second, Dave. I got my daughter a telescope.
Yeah.
For Christmas.
Nice.
We looked up at the moon.
Yes.
I've looked at it 3 times because we live in shitty Rochester, so I can't. It's always fucking cloudy here. I look up at the moon, and I've seen it in different aspects, different craters. I've seen different things in different spots. So what's going on there? Again,
the moon is the biggest mystery of all. Why does that rock 238,000 miles away affect women's menstrual cycles? Okay. Well, you got right. That's it. The moon is the biggest anomaly of all. How come when there's a new moon, no one's ever seen it? When it goes new, nobody from any angle, from the space station, from an aircraft with infrared lenses, no one has ever seen it in less than 42 hours, I think it is. It's almost 2 full days. Well, when the moon is new, the earth shine should be lighting it up. Well, people can say, well, the moon's new. It's always near the sun. The sun's blinding you. That's why you can't see it. Okay. What about a total solar eclipse? During totality, if you were on the moon looking at the earth, you have a full earth, like a full moon. The earth is 6 times bigger than the moon, and I would argue it's a little shinier than the moon. Its earth shine should light up that moon so we could see it. With an infrared lens, with a regular lens, with your naked eye, you should be able to see it. Just like when we look at the moon, a full moon, you know, we're in the middle of nowhere. The full moon is bright enough that we can read by it, right? We could read by this full moon. How is this dusty, dirty ball sending light 238,000 miles away where it's this bright, where it casts shadows on the earth? Does this look like it's reflecting that amount of light? And if you use the inverse square law of light, the lumens are in the trillions of lumens it would need to be to look this bright. It's insanity to believe any of this.
Yeah.
So, so before we run out of time, and I can go as long as you guys want. I'm happy to keep on going, but we got to touch on NASA, right? You guys believe in the International Fake Station, right? Or space station. Oh, wait, back to the moon. Okay. I'm going to show you 4 moons, and you have to tell me sphere or not sphere, but really quick, because the hand is going to pick it up really quick and show you. Is that a sphere?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it looks like a sphere, but it's half a sphere. Okay. Is this one a sphere?
They all are.
Yeah.
They're all spheres.
One of them.
Okay. Yes. I agree. No, that looks like a sphere.
The third one,
but it's not. It's flat.
Oh, because it's got,
Is so this one a sphere?
It is. Yep. They all are.
Okay. This is a cup, not a sphere. So what I'm saying is we don't know what the moon is, and neither do you.
Well,
okay?
I'm not disagreeing.
They're spherical.
Well, one of them's flat. So I'm not saying I know what the moon is. Again, the moon is the biggest mystery of all. So the International Space Station, how come we don't see any land?
Huh. I've never looked at it.
What do you mean, why don't we see any land?
How come we don't see any land?
Because they're going over an ocean. What are you talking about?
That's a good answer. But the answer is it's because we're easily fooled. This is not from the International Space Station. This is from our front yard. We just got a solar panel. We filmed the sky and we turned it upside down. I'm just showing you with zero budget how easy it is to fool anybody. Right? I'm sorry for fooling you, but I'm just showing you.
No, I'm totally fine with that.
No, that NASA is fooling us all the time. If you look, they were bragging that they had they got some fresh food up there. They had a fresh lemon. They were playing with the lemon and it bounced off the wall. But if you zoom in, there's a problem. This is an augmented reality image. Yep. And you could see. So why is NASA faking things floating in the air? Why are they faking it?
I've seen some videos of guys on wires too.
Oh, yeah, plenty. So why are they faking it? Why would they fake it? Here's the one. She's talking to kids. This is a ball filled with helium, so it floats just nicey nice. This is an augmented reality object. Here it comes again. They even put in this little beam and a beam noise when it showed up. Why are they doing that? Are they mocking us? But it's called augmented reality. Mm-hmm. That's how they do stuff. Here at the end of their press conference, all of a sudden, everything that was floating glitched out and everything else remained the same. Right? These guys are flipping their hat and their microphone around, and this guy goes cruising by in the distance to make it just more believable. I zoomed in on him. You could see his harness, his wires. Okay. Sometimes they use wires. Sometimes they're on a 0G plane. These are both the 0G plane. Okay. And they fake this. This is all, it's all, why would NASA fake this? Right.
The only thing I can think of, honestly, Dave, and again, I'm dumb, is
stop saying power. You're dumb. You have common sense.
Right.
They want you to believe nonsense.
Well, I don't. And even if you went back and listened to our True series, I'm a firm believer in a lot. I've heard about the 0G airplanes.
Yeah.
I'd only have to think that if this is true or anything, if the international fake station's really fake, it's got to be a power thing. It's got to be, like you were alluding to earlier with the elite, and want us just as their minions, and they could care less if we're gone. My biggest question to all of this in general is why, other than power.
Yeah, why? So it's about control. So you're in Rochester. What if we put a fence around New York and said you can never go outside that fence?
Well, Andy Cuomo almost did.
We just did.
Yeah, well, pretty much. So what I'm saying is they're making it. You put a fence around the United States, put a fence around the equator. No one's going to be happy. Humans, I want to go to the other side of that fence. So they couldn't put a fence up around Antarctica. They just had to make you believe that it's too dangerous, too cold. All these documentaries about how horrible the conditions are there. And so they put us on a ball. You remember the Truman Show with Jim Carrey? Mm-hmm. The True Man Show. He goes, I want to be an explorer. The teacher pulls down the screen. She goes, oh, no, there's nothing left to explore, Truman. It's all been explored. That's what they want us to believe. They put a fence around us. The Van Allen radiation belts, that's the fence above us. And the ball is the fence around us. Mm-hmm. They don't want us to know that we are divine created spirits here on earth, that we have power, that nobody has power over us. They want to rule over us. So they have us living in fear and living in insignificance, thinking that we are just here. They're hiding the creator is one way to look at it. They don't want you to know that nobody has dominion over you. We have two rules here. One, don't break anyone else's free will. And two, don't lose control of your soul. That's it. That's it. We're here having this experience, expanding the mind of creation, and just having a good old time. But they don't want us to know that. They don't want us to know that we're free. Right. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, NASA, this image right here, this is a 40,000-pound steel tank, the external tank of the space shuttle. It's gigantic. Mm-hmm. Does that look like it's falling and going to burn up before it gets to those clouds? Or does that look like a blimp filled with helium and a helicopter is following it? This is supposedly falling back to Earth, and it's being filmed from the shuttle, which is orbiting at the same speed. So the shuttle's orbiting at 17,000 miles an hour already. This thing's moving sideways at 17,000 miles an hour. I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
Because look at it. It's not falling. It's floating.
So when a space shuttle releases, when we used to send a space shuttle up mm-hmm. with the booster tanks, and it would shed those. Do those fall?
Yeah, those fall back into the ocean.
Well, I know what you're saying, Dave, but when they drop, I know you're saying that was filmed by something following those, but do they fall at the same plane as the space shuttle?
The shuttle and that external fuel tank right there are on the same trajectory. They're in the same trajectory. That's why there's, but you can't tell that it's falling because it's just like him showing that sphere. Is it a sphere or is it flat? You can't tell it's flat because you're only looking at it from one dimension. You're missing the dimension of depth. And that's what's happening. It's falling back, but as it's falling, it's also going forward. And the only reason why that goes back in and the space shuttle doesn't is because the space shuttle is going 17,000 miles an hour, which puts it on an orbital plane where the tank is not. And what happens is it's called orbital decay. The tank slows down and then re-enters the Earth's atmosphere where it burns up. The boosters, however, that happens a little bit earlier in the flight, okay, where they are still inside everything. First off, we now know that, well, I don't know, Dave doesn't know this. He thinks it's just a belief, but we're thinking that our atmosphere is even deeper and deeper and deeper because if the ISS is real, they've just started growing mold on the outside of it, which is another interesting story, which you can get into later.
Wow.
But that's how that works. That's how trajectory works on what I believe to be is the way that I've grown up with science.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I learned all that stuff too. No proof of it. Let's show you something that we can prove. Let's show you something that we can prove.
This guy.
This is the SR-71. Have you ever seen one? They're amazing. And if you look at it straight on, it's like a friggin' razor blade. It doesn't even have any paint on it because it gets so hot when it flies due to the friction of this super razor blade cut, beautiful work of art. And it heats up to like 500 degrees. It goes Mach 3.2. Any faster, it starts ripping apart, which is happening right here. This was damaged because it was going too fast, and that razor blade edge started to ripple. Okay. So that's Mach 3.2. This friggin' garbage can blimp goes Mach 25.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think so.
Outside of the atmosphere.
So what does it wait? It waits until it gets outside of the atmosphere.
Yes.
That's not true because
hold on, Dave. Dave. We need some full disclosure here.
Yeah.
I'm an actual rocket scientist. So before you start saying that we can't prove this, I can prove this.
So let me ask you a question. When a rocket takes off, for the amount of time that it's thrusting its engines, to get to 17, it has to get to 25,000 miles per hour. Well, let's just say 17,000 miles per hour because that's the speed of the space station. It would have to increase its speed by 200 miles an hour or more every 5 seconds.
Yeah, and it does. Okay.
So at what point does it do that? Because you're saying it doesn't go. If it did that, then within a minute, it would be going a couple times the speed of sound, right?
No, you're what you're doing is you are assuming linear acceleration, and it's not a linear acceleration. If it was a linear acceleration, then that's exactly what would happen. The thing would rattle itself apart. But what happens is the space shuttle, any rocket for that matter, slows up basically. It goes up extremely slow, lifts off the pad extremely slow, increases speed at a low velocity, right? So it's accelerating at a very low rate until it hits this thing called max Q. And what happens at max Q is it's maximum aerodynamic forces on the vehicle. Once it goes through that plane, what happens is it goes above Mach. So it goes basically from transonic to supersonic at this point. At the supersonic level, what happens is aerodynamic forces change at the speed of sound. That's why the speed of sound is what the speed of sound is. And we can prove the speed of sound relatively easily. So we can't have an argument here. So what happens is after it goes past that max Q, that the full force of the acceleration now starts to take on a higher rate. Not only could the shuttle not handle it, but people couldn't handle it. People could not handle it. So that's what happens is after it goes into space, so above the Kármán line, 100 kilometers up or 62 miles up. Oh, he doesn't believe in space. Hold on.
So NASA tells us to break away into space, it has to hit 25,000 miles an hour. So when does it increase that speed? And why, after it drops its main tank and those two external tanks?
Yes.
That's when it's doing all of its acceleration? I don't think so. That's not what NASA says.
Well,
no, we didn't say anything. No.
So let me. I have a short video here.
Hold on. You're assuming that rockets go straight up and down, aren't you?
No, they curve over and they crash into the Bermuda. They crash into the Bermuda Triangle every single time. Okay.
This is where it's getting loony, Dave. You can't.
Yeah. So we're gonna get crazy loony. Let me show you this, and then you could ask me about the Challenger.
These are things you can't prove now.
I'm gonna prove it right now.
No, you're not.
Okay. I'm gonna prove that story you told is a story, and NASA's lying. So, you guys ever been in a hurricane or a tornado? A tornado at 300 miles per hour will rip cement out of the ground. Okay. This thing is going to, and that's at room temperature. This thing is going to shoot out jet hot fuel. And that little fence you saw is not going to even rattle. Right. And at 17,000 miles an hour, it would atomize it. Those people you just saw are 10 miles away or farther. These people are nowhere near this. So this is edited. They're not this close. They can't even see this thing with their naked eye. Okay. This fence, hold on. Let me just go because I can't rewind this. So this fence should be pulverized, 17,000 miles an hour or faster of heated thrust. And this fence doesn't even move. So this thing goes up. Now watch. This is a blimp. There's nobody on it. This is filled with helium with external rockets. Now, what happens is, the reason it rolls over on its back is because the red tank is the helium tank and it's lighter. So it goes over on its back and it maintains, it's rising up. The rocket is putting out a little thrust. I mean, if this was putting out that much thrust, all of that smoke would just be obliterated. So this thing's going up. Hold on. Just follow me. Here's the problem. So I jump forward here. We're about 60 seconds in, maybe it's a little longer. They say that they're 35 miles downrange when these external tanks come off. Okay. So we're watching this. And if you can hear the sound, the second you see them disperse, you hear the dispersion sound. Right. So this thing is going super fast. Now, this thing has to be pretty aerodynamic. Hold on. Let me finish. Okay. Let me finish. So just when you see that, you hear it at the same time. If it was only 20 miles downrange, that sound wouldn't get there for 90 seconds. Okay. The sound and the visual happen at the same time. This is a movie. Now these things are going sideways. How is that aerodynamic? How come they're not shooting away? How are they going sideways at almost the same speed as that? That's impossible.
See the plume there, Dave? Do you see the plume of fire?
Yeah.
Can you rewind your video?
No.
Okay. So if we went back, that plume of fire is a very pinpoint at the beginning. It's a very pinpoint target of fire at the beginning. As the rocket increases and the atmosphere decreases, what you start to see is that plume of the rocket, the fire coming out the base of the rocket gets larger and larger and larger and larger. That's because the air pressure can no longer contain that fire. Mm-hmm. So when those things come off, the air pressure is so low that there's minimal drag.
So why if you just Google space shuttle launch, you'll find this video. Why does the sound and the image happen at the same time?
Because they've done it with audio, Dave. If you were there watching this, it doesn't happen that way. You literally see the rocket. I'm telling you, like more than a minute in the air before the sound hits you. If you were there and actually.
So why is it? On the video that NASA shows us, why did they edit in the sound?
Because they edited the audio for audio visual purposes.
Okay, that's a cool story. Cool story. We're gonna have to disagree on this one, but that's all right.
Oh my God, no. Go to Florida. Listen, SpaceX.
Listen, we've had many people there. You can't get close enough.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You don't have to be close. You can be downtown Daytona Beach and see this. What do you mean you have to be close?
What you see is a rocket curve up, levels out, and goes down into the Bermuda Triangle.
So you believe
this is where credibility is lost here.
This is where you believe that they are sending something up.
Not to space.
There's what it is, but it's not actually going into space. It's coming back down to Earth. And what Shred's saying is that it's an actual rocket because he's been there, he's seen it. I'm assuming you have as well, Dave. Otherwise, you wouldn't be as big into this.
You couldn't say this.
So they do. We found we're looking at I think the images were literally from Google Earth, where we were looking around NASA's lawn and we saw these. They look like lights and like these. Wow, these must be the lights that they light up the rocket with at night. And then we actually could see the label and the serial number on it. We looked it up and it came from a holographic imaging company, a holographic projection company. So here is a SpaceX launch, which is 100% CGI.
That's not SpaceX.
Well, who is this?
That looks like EVI.
All right. Whoever it is, forgive me. I got my fake space agency wrong, but this is completely CGI, and then there's a glitch that happens. The entire top half of the rocket disappears. And this has happened more than once. It happened on a SpaceX one. It happened on a Blue Origins rocket. And this is because it's a projected hologram. That's one thing one way they do it. So this happens often. And then they pull their video down, but we've already downloaded it.
Okay. All right. Listen. Hold on. See, now you get to something that's semi-plausible. So you're saying that this is a hologram in the sky.
Well, yeah, this launch was.
So
other launches, sometimes they launch miniatures, sometimes they launch helium balloons, but they never launch anything with a rocket on it. Listen, before we get off the space shuttle, you guys have to ask me, what about the Challenger astronauts?
Yeah, I'm well aware of that conspiracy. Yeah, where they're still alive.
The conspiracy here's the conspiracy, that all of these astronauts, these 6, have identical twins that have the same name, same birth date, use the same name, sound like them, look like them, and they had identical twins. And they all work for universities. And for some reason, none of their twins showed up at their sibling's funeral. Weirdest thing ever. Right?
I haven't heard this one. That's pretty interesting.
And how about this?
Heard anything about that?
What answer A or B? Did these guys were just the first 3 guys that went to the moon and came back, or were these guys just informed that their dog was shot?
Yeah. Oh, worse. These guys are the guys that found out that we'll agree on this, that nothing is real. That's what they've just found out.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Just found out.
I mean, so you know who started NASA, right? The Werner von Braun was brought over, a German scientist, a German Nazi that was brought over to run NASA. Not a conspiracy. Okay. This is a fact.
No, it's Project Paperclip.
Yeah, Project Paperclip, which I believe is it's not real. On his deathstone, on his gravestone, he had Psalms 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Well, the firmament is the dome. So why is he talking about a dome over Earth if he's a rocket scientist? But here's the weird thing about him. In 1957, he wrote a book called Project Mars. It's about a group of people that went to Mars and started a civilization there. And the leader of that group was named Elon.
Love it.
It's almost
Elon
like
Musk a month ago sent a tweet out. This is his rocket that he's taking people to Mars in. He goes, I want to redesign it. I want to make it pointier. Okay. They're mocking us. They're mocking us. How many coincidences do you have to believe to realize the entire world is a stage? You know who said the world is a stage?
Shakespeare.
Yeah, Shakespeare didn't even exist. Okay, he's a made-up character. Okay, so the guy that says the world is a stage it's a stage. It's all made up. This is history. Is his story.
That's interesting.
We got to get this guy back on. Minus the rocket stuff, which is just, you go too far there. I can't.
Yeah. Well, I can't. Come on. Here's Space Command and here's Starfleet Command. Is this mockery?
Right. Oh no, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
There's a lot.
I'm not going to ever disagree with that.
Yeah, I think there's a, and again, I mean, we're a little approaching an hour and a half into this, but I think what the general consensus is you guys both have your theories. I don't have a theory, so I like listening to it all. A lot of your shit outside of the deep physics that I can't even begin to imagine trying to understand because I suck at math. Actually, you have a lot of great ideas and points.
Can I show you how we just because the big one is sunsets? That was the one for me. I'm like, how about the sun setting over the ocean? That makes no sense.
True.
So let me show you. And I did an experiment. I'm going to walk you through it.
Okay.
And just think about this. When there's a spotted cumulus cloud day, they're all sitting on a cloud deck. You look up, they're 5,000-10,000 feet over your head, whatever the height is. Mm-hmm. And then if you look out over the water, over a flat area, within 25-30 miles, the clouds appear to be touching the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
You with me?
Yep. I'm showing a picture of it right now because I took a picture
of what
preparation of I'm showing the clouds actually touching the ground.
Yeah. And that's just due to perspective.
The sun is lighting up the cloud from underneath now.
Yeah, no, that's not true at all. That I understand. We have a whole bunch of videos about that. It looks like they're lighting it up from underneath. But again,
Dave, I took this picture.
Yeah. Okay. We took this picture. Okay. We took this video. What are you seeing here?
Oh, it looks like it's sitting right in the clouds. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Clouds above it, clouds behind it, clouds in front of it, clouds below it. Okay. That doesn't make any sense in a heliocentric model. Okay. So So again, the optical, we have a whole series of videos showing why it appears the sun is lighting up clouds from underneath. I can show you, and you'll start to see. So just the clouds above us, clouds 30 miles away, look like they're touching the horizon. I'm talking noon. The sun's above the clouds. Yeah. So just due to perspective, it looks like the clouds are sitting on the horizon. Okay. So here we go. Here's my flat earth kitchen counter. It's just dark. And I have this line that's level that I've shown is level. And I'm moving my sun across it with a camera that's filming from the same height as that line. And you can see that it's going straight and level. Here is an obstacle. You can say this is mountains. It could be cloud deck. It could be the atmospheric, just opacity. But the sun never goes below that. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like with a camera on the counter, on the flat earth counter, looking up. This line looks like it's going down. Okay. But it's a level line. I just showed you that it's level. And as it goes beyond this, due to perspective, the sun sets. Now, if this was 30 miles away, it would be at your eye level and it goes down below it. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like with a real sunset. Okay. At the same time. Okay. So look right over here. Yep. So here is the real sunset. This looks like the horizon, but here's the cloud deck of opacity. I call it the atmospheric deck of opacity. And the sun is setting below it, just like here. It looks exactly the same. This is all we're seeing. It's how we see. It's how our eyes work, right? And then here is a video of the sun going away. And I put these clouds in. This is our cloud deck. Mm-hmm. This one is merged with the horizon. So once it goes beyond it, it just looks like it's setting below it. But it's not. It's just going beyond it. And that's how we see sunsets. Now, here's another one. On a super cold day, had my drone up, and I'm looking at the clear, cold, no humidity. And I watched the sun went from up here in 5 minutes time. It went down, 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 down. And if the earth was spinning, it would just keep on going. But it didn't. It went down to here, and then it stopped. Now, this is sped up 2,500%. It sat there for 10 minutes. And instead of dropping down like it should have, it just got so deep into the soup that it disappeared. And its light could no longer push through.
What model? What is this heliocentric?
This is real world observation. If the world was heliocentric, the sun would have just kept on going down, but it stopped going down. It just sat there.
So this is just a regular camera view.
This is a Hasselblad 4K camera watching the sun. It went down, 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 and then when it gets to the point where it looks like it's going to set, it just stops and then it just fades away. So now I had friends down at the beach at the same time that they said they saw the sun set from the bottom up 10 minutes earlier. And they did because they saw it go beyond which basically it was just land in the distance. And the land has trees above their eye level and the sun just went beyond it. Just like, here's the sun and right. If it just goes, here it goes. It just goes away. It looks like it sets. That's due to perspective.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally get the perspective thing.
Yeah, so that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing there. Here is a glass dome sitting on a blanket so that it's sitting on the earth plane. And if you're inside this dome, you see this little sun go by. I'm just moving a light across the top of it in a straight line, just like I did. And you'll see it rises, it gets to the top, it sets, and it never goes below. It stops and it fades out. And if I bring it back, it'll appear on the horizon. There it is. It'll rise up through the day. Beautiful day. I'm in the middle of this dome. This is my atmospheric dome. Mm-hmm. And then it'll go down and it never goes below. It just fades away. Mm-hmm. That's how we see the sun.
We live in a fucking dome. We're like the Jetsons. Didn't the Jetsons live in a dome?
Listen, I'm not this far off from you, Dave, because I truly believe we are in a matrix. So,
well, that you know what?
I'm not far off from.
I use the documentary The Matrix with Keanu Reeves, right? At the beginning, he's depressed. Something's wrong with the world. He's trying to figure it out. He's depressed. I believe a lot of the depression in this world is because people's souls know the truth, but their brains are so caught up in the drama on the television and all the lies that they're disconnecting from their souls. But by the end of the movie, Neo figures out who he is, where he is, what he is, and the power of his mind. That's what the elite don't want us to know. The power of our mind, and that they have no control over us.
Right.
The only control they have is what you believe.
Right.
What you believe. Right.
No,
and so they're controlling, they're wiping out all the small businesses now. They're wiping out, they're only the big players, the big airlines, the big, that are going to obey. They're forcing everybody into this insanity that's going on. Okay. Paul McCartney said it best: the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round.
Which Paul McCartney said that?
The fake one. Hey, we agree on something.
Oh no, I agree on just about everything you said. The space thing, it's tough for me to swallow because of my background. But
here's the space station,
yep.
right? Parts built by different countries, never tested on Earth, never assembled on Earth, sent into space, assembled in space, and there's not a single photo or video of it being built. No, and we can scientifically prove that light that we see cruise by is not the space station. We can prove that because you wouldn't be able to see it. Think of a 747 at cruising altitude. It's a tiny little dot in the sky. If you doubled the height of a 747, which is about the same size as the space station, you couldn't see it. Its angular size would be too small. The space station is 50 times higher. 50 times higher. Scientifically, mathematically, you can prove its angular size is too small for you to see. Forget about it. It's fake. When you see that light go in the sky, what it is, it's an old B-2 outfitted bomber, re-outfitted, where parts of the wings are built with transparent stuff, and it has LED lights on the bottom of it. It's nonsense.
We'd be able to see the LED lights?
What's that?
We'd be able to see the LED lights?
That's what, if you have go get an ISS tracker on your phone, and there'll be times like late in the day where it comes over, and I saw it, and you see this light. It's brighter than any star, bigger than any star. It just moves across the sky. Well, its angular size and brightness are scientifically provable that you couldn't see it at that distance. You couldn't. Yeah. You can't see a 747 at 10 miles high. The space station is 250 miles high. Okay? Mm-hmm. Forget it. They're lying about everything. This is an animation. This is a cartoon. Okay. There's not a single photo or video. This would be the most videoed construction project ever if it was true.
Yeah, you'd think. I mean, I know people that have worked, because we have Kodak here, or we had whatever they are now, Kodak, in Rochester. And I know of people in particular that worked on parts for the Hubble telescope that they were sworn to secrecy. Like they couldn't say a damn thing about any of this stuff.
Yeah, the Hubble telescope. Let me ask you a question.
Makes you wonder.
Is this the Hubble telescope, or is this a can with the label peeled off of Del Monte beans and a soda can wrapped in tinfoil?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's supposedly 3,000 degrees up there. What metal and electronics and mirror lasts in 3,000 degrees?
Right. Yeah, Well,
wait, and check this out. If you watch like a Nova show, just think about this. They talk about these giant telescopes taking these deep space images, right? And these telescopes are mounted on cement pads that are like 10 or 20 feet thick, because if a technician walked by during one of the exposures, the vibration of his foot could ruin the picture, because the light, it would vibrate the lens just a little bit, right? So this is what they tell us. Are they forgetting that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour, and chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour? Does none of that motion matter when they're trying to film something in the distance where the vibration of a footprint, of a footstep, could ruin the picture? This has another problem, because it's doing all of those motions and it's falling around the Earth at 17,000 miles an hour. Okay? How the fuck is that going to take a picture of anything? Right?
I don't know.
This is such nonsense.
It's above my head.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Like, I can't fathom how I believed all the bullshit that they taught us in my life. Once you see it, you have to literally say, okay, it's easier to fool somebody than to convince them they've been fooled. But once you let go of all of the fucking ego and all of the bullshit, and you realize, okay, what I'm saying about, space time and that's pseudoscience, can't prove it. Let all that go. Just look at the physical stuff. We can see too far. Water lays flat. You can't have high pressure next to low pressure without a container. Okay. All of these things, you can prove the earth is flat. It's it. What is this place? Why are we here? What is our purpose? I don't know. I think our purpose is to expand the mind of the creator. We're here in a friggin' amusement park. It is matrixy, fine. Right. And we're here with our souls. The currency of this world is souls, and the fucking evil bastards that are running this place are trying to steal your soul. And your soul is protected with layers and layers of love and care and desire and motivation, all of these wonderful things that make us human. While they're trying to take fear and all of that and drill through those layers. Because once you lose hope, once you lose, caring, and you're depressed, you expose your soul, and that's when they can steal your soul. Whether you sell it to them, whether they steal it, whatever it is, this is all a spiritual war for our minds.
100%.
I agree 110%. Yeah, I think, and Shred said it before on past episodes about how you see some of these celebrities that have, quote unquote, and he said it on here, that have sold their souls to the devil.
Yeah, 100%.
So, it happens. Dave, we're about an hour and a half in. I do want to have you back on.
Yeah, let's do this again.
Let's delve a little bit into other things though on the flat earth. I think we're
happy to do it.
Yeah, I think we're beating a dead horse. Obviously there's theories, there's science that you both feel you're correct. We're not going to change minds.
Hey, check it out. I'm on the space station. Zero budget. Zero budget. I'm on the space station. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
Looks good.
No, I told you, I've watched videos of people on strings. I'm just saying the science behind how.
Why are they faking it? Why are they faking it? Why are all of the agencies in the world that run the world using a fucking flat Earth map? Okay.
Yeah.
How are we spinning in all of these directions, and we have lakes that lay perfectly flat, but the water bulges 14 miles high at the equator? Okay. All of the stuff they tell us is nonsense. How can this selfie that the rover took look exactly like a hill in Greenland? Okay. They're lying. They're lying to control your mind.
Can I ask you just one more thing before we go? It's just a curiosity.
You can ask me another one though.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a second one. What are meteorites?
Yeah, so meteorites. Think about this. We're told that like the Perseus meteor showers, which happened in August, I think. The Earth is passing through the through the path of a comet where there's all this leftover dust, and these things come in and burn up. But since we're traveling billions and billions of miles, how come every year in August on the same date, we go through the same trail? What is that? What is that trail following us to? So what are meteorites? Well, if you look at meteorites, if we're on a ball and you're like here, meteorites, they come down. That's how we see them. They never come up from the horizon. They never shoot up. You'll see some going across, but never going up. If we're on a ball, they'd be coming from all different directions. And then the whole idea that, we're happening on the same date every year to go through that same path, that's nonsense. So what are meteorites? You have to look into sprites. And if you look into the electric Earth theory that I was talking about, the Earth has a negative charge. The dome has a positive charge. Well, there's all sorts of electrical interactions. So meteorites are something that's coming down. I don't know. I'm not up there, but they're not rocks falling from space.
Okay.
That's interesting. Very interesting. Dave, where can people go see your stuff again? I know you said it earlier in the episode. It'll be in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
But what's your website?
So the best place to, if you really want to learn about this, and I'm offering a Bitcoin for anybody that can come up with one proof of the globe, is check out the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay. There's already a Flat Earth Society one out there by the same name on the Android store that, like, sometimes you Google it and theirs will come up, not mine. Mine is the highest rated app in the store. It's $3, $2.99. Less than a half a beer or coffee, and you don't piss it away in 20 minutes. You have it for the rest of your life. Every day there's a new featured video on it. And I say, watch the video every day for 2 weeks, short ones during the week, longer ones on the weekend. And then at the end of that, if you still think the Earth is a globe, what you do is you click the question mark and up come all the questions. What about eclipses, which we never got into?
Right.
And if you click what about eclipses, up comes videos that YouTube will hide from you. They don't want you seeing these videos that explain that the official story of eclipses is nonsense, right? So check that out. And then my website, Instagram, and Facebook page are The Flat Earth Podcast, theflatearthpodcast.com.
Mm-hmm.
And my YouTube channel is DITRH, the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And on a final note, just as you were talking about eclipses have been predicted long before anyone knew the Earth was a globe. Antikythera mechanism is a calculator that shows eclipses repeat every 18 years. So all you have to do is live for 18 years, and then you can predict all of the eclipses. So you guys probably didn't know that they repeat every 18 years.
Don't we have another one coming? 2024
years.
Yeah, it's called the Soros cycle. There's 2 cycles that the eclipses go on, but they repeat every 18 years. And the final thing I want to say is don't let them control your mind with cartoons.
That's very true. That's, I kind of want to get in. I kind of want to talk about that with you as well. The coronavirus, he's got a picture of the cartoon virus.
And the cartoon planet.
I definitely want to get you back on in the next couple of weeks. I'll figure out when you and Shred are available again. Let's sit down. Let's talk about kind of what you just had up with the coronavirus. We'll get off the flat earth stuff and delve a little bit deeper into some of this other bullshit that they're telling us. I think the conversation will be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Dave, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Fantastic, man.
All right,
thanks
brother.
for coming on.
Thanks for having an open mind and just look into this. Get the app. Trust me.
Problem is, Dave, I'm worried about saving kids, and I ain't got time for this flat earth.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I agree with you. I'm with you on that. But here's the thing. If we get our world back from these psychopaths, how long are we going to be able to hold on to it, not knowing where we are? Because those bastards know the truth of this world. And if you're lost in space, spinning out of control, living in fear, you'll never gain your true power. So that's why I'm pushing this message, because we'll never be able to take this world back if we don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, though, this crazy thing fits the Bible.
Yeah.
On the app, 200 proofs, not 200 proofs. There's one video called 200 Proofs that the Bible, is a flat earth book, but there's all of these biblical videos on it. Amazing. I never lead with the biblical stuff because if you're not a biblical person, then it means nothing. But the Bible backs up all of this from page 1, Genesis.
No, I was thinking about that the entire time we're sitting here.
Dave, I think a lot of this, and I know you go by Flat Earth Dave, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of what you do delves a lot deeper than into flat earth.
I do. If you really want to see what I do, check out stoplookthink.com. Bottom right here is biblical flat earth. You hit that puppy, up come great videos that will just entertain your entire day, and you'll be like, wow. You watch a bunch of those and you're finished. You're done. You're a flat earther. So cool. Get ready.
All right. Dave, thanks again, brother.
The next time we get together, you can title the show 3 Flat Earthers Have a Discussion.
All right. Hey, you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. See you. Thanks.
The Flat Earth Sun and Moon Clock App, a dynamic new app to teach family and friends about where they actually live. The sky is a perfect clock. The sun measures the hours and days. The moon measures the weeks and months. The star constellations measure the seasons and years. 12/12 or 24-hour clock face, or go hands-free. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app with new added features. World Time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add your own or have the app change it to a new one automatically every time you use the app. Add a countdown to your next big date. Learn the truth about our world with the featured video of the day. web button for additional flat Earth related features, from the mythical curve calculator all the way to Tartaria. While talking to friends, easily pull up pictures that expose the globe lie and shine light on the flat Earth truth. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth. And clean screen features. Simply click off the items you don't wish to see. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.